It's confirmed that one of the most notable UFAs for the Colorado Avalanche this offseason is highly unlikely to re-sign with Colorado. We'll most likely be seeing him taking his skills elsewhere and signing with another team come July 1st when free agency opens in the offseason for the National Hockey League. And whether or not this player decides to re-sign with Colorado or sign somewhere else has massive implications surrounding the Avs cap space and what they're going to be able to do to build the most powerful and optimal roster heading into the 2025-2026 season. We're going to break everything regarding this UFA and the rumors surrounding him down right here today on Avs Digest. Welcome into Avs Digest, everybody. Mark Robinson, happy to be with you talking about this specific UFA situation today. But before we dive into all the details and the rumors, I want to remind you to make sure you're subscribed to Avs Digest here on YouTube. It's the fastest growing source for reliable and consistent Avalanche news, updates, rumors, anything surrounding the Colorado Avalanche. Only 8% of you that are viewing our videos on a daily basis are subscribed to the channel in comparison to a massive amount of you, almost 92% of you tuning into Avs Digest daily, but are not subscribed to the channel. So please take the 5 seconds to exit out of this video, hit that subscribe button, join the Avs Digest community. We love all of you, and thank you so much for your support. Without further ado, let's dive into all the surrounding information regarding these UFA rumors for the Colorado Avalanche. But before we do so, I do want to make very quick note of the fact that it is a very special day in the Avalanche community, folks. It is the 3-year anniversary of the third Stanley Cup championship in Colorado Avalanche franchise history. 3 years ago today in Tampa, Florida, Game 6, Colorado Avalanche defeated the Tampa Bay Lightning 2-1, and they hoisted Lord Stanley for the third time ever as a franchise. Nathan MacKinnon, Gabriel Landeskog, Erik Johnson, to name a few, got their first ever Stanley Cup championship. Cale Makar, obviously, as well, got his first Stanley Cup championship, also won the Conn Smythe. Just an amazing day overall for the Colorado Avalanche to get to hoist their third ever Stanley Cup and just to get to see some of these draft picks, some of these generational players, generational talent that is, get to celebrate the most sought-out trophy in professional sports, period. So just wanted to really quickly acknowledge June 26th will forever be a day etched in Colorado Avalanche history. Third ever Stanley Cup championship was won on June 26th, 2022. So happy 3-year Stanley Cup anniversary. Hopefully a lot more of those to come in the near future. With that said, let's now dive into all the surrounding rumors today regarding Jonathan Drouin, who is an unrestricted free agent in the offseason right now, and on July 1st, with the ability to sign anywhere in the NHL that he would like, considering whoever offers him a contract, it's very unlikely that we see Jonathan Drouin return to the Avs next season. Let's really quickly just dive into some of his stats in this last season. He played 43 games, had 11 goals, 26 assists for 37 points. Not the highest career year for Jonathan Drouin. His career year came actually 2 years ago in his first year with Colorado Avalanche, which we'll dive into those stats and kind of that realm of his career a little bit in a second. But safe to say that he didn't have the best season. Obviously, injuries and not being able to play a full season played a really large factor into this. He was basically out for half the season. As you can see, there only played 43 of 82 games. And so not obviously a lot of production coming from Jonathan Drouin. He did do really well kind of towards the end of the season when he came back from injury. But then when playoffs came around, he kind of got quiet again and was not able to produce as far as what the Avs are looking for in a forward playing on like that first, second, even third line area, which is kind of where Jonathan Drouin was sitting throughout the remainder of the regular season and into the playoffs. Take a quick just kind of look at his contract breakdown. So he was originally drafted third overall by the Tampa Bay Lightning in, I think, 2013. He played a few seasons for the Lightning, and then he was traded to the Montreal Canadiens. Played a few seasons for the Canadiens as well. Kind of hovered right around in that like 20, 30 point area for points during a season. Also kind of was in that like 10 sort of 15 goal area. Never had like a really big breakout career. And then prior to the 2023-24 season, so in the 2023 off season, Drouin signed a 1-year, $825,000 contract with the Colorado Avalanche. And that season right there, the 2023-24 season, that was a breakout year for him. He had a career year playing for the Avs and had the best season that he'd had in his career, period. And then that resulted in the next offseason, the 2024-25 season. He signed another one-year contract, but at a little bit steeper of a price. He signed a $2.5 million contract for 1 year for this last season, where we ultimately only had him for half the year. He was out with an injury for the majority of the season and then didn't necessarily produce much during the playoffs. Here's kind of a look at his just massive career scope, playing for both the Lightning, the Montreal Canadiens, and the Colorado Avalanche, with a little bit of AHL mixed in there, playing for the Syracuse Crunch, the AHL affiliate of the Tampa Bay Lightning. But as you can see, when he signed with Colorado in 2023-24, this was a career year for him. He played 79 of 82 games, which was massive for him. He hadn't been able to do that in previous seasons with the Montreal Canadiens. As you can see, the last time he'd played more than 50 games was in the 2018-19 season. Respectively, he went 27 games, 44 games, 34 games, and then 58 games. And then 2023-24 season, not only does he play the most games that he'd played since the 2018-19 season, but he's able to put up career numbers. He gets 19 goals, which is his career high, 37 assists, which is his career high, and then 56 points. So a career high year all around for Jonathan Drouin. Made a really good case for him as far as why he should go and get this $2.5 million 1 year contract. But nevertheless, the following season, this last season, not only does he get a lot of injury plague and just not have the opportunity to play as much throughout the season, he doesn't produce as much either. And with kind of that in mind, I think that in the back of his mind, he's looking to explore other options and see if there's a team that will potentially pay him what he feels that he is worth. Because on the topic of pay, an issue that the Avs have right now is cap space. They have a very slim amount of cap to work with. And if they want to re-sign a player like Jonathan Drouin, he's going to want to get that similar kind of $2.53 million cap hit. And if they want to re-sign a player like him, they're probably looking to spend less on him, which is why he's most likely not going to be signing with Colorado in the offseason. These teams here are kind of the top three teams that insiders and NHL analysts have rumored that Jonathan Drouin will be going to. Vegas, Chicago, and Columbus. I think each one kind of offers a unique and an interesting place for Jonathan Drouin and just kind of his game and what he has to offer. I think the biggest aspect of Jonathan Drouin's game that I liked and that I think added a lot of contribution to the Avs and just their ability to produce offense throughout the season was him on the power play. He was usually kind of playing on that power play one, and he moved the puck really well. He was always kind of very connected and did a really good job on that unit and helped the Avs really thrive on the power play and produce. Some interesting thoughts around these teams for Jonathan Drouin to re-sign that I've seen. Chicago, for example, he'd be like a really strong mentor for a young player like Connor Bedard, who's starting to settle into the NHL. He's a really good player, but he hasn't really found his groove, hasn't really found his place in the NHL quite yet. But to see kind of these potential landing spots for Jonathan Drouin, it's definitely interesting. And it's considering that it's very unlikely that we're going to see Drouin re-sign, it's interesting to see and kind of think about what his next organization will be and where he'll go after his 2 years in Colorado. Now, as we know, his most recent contract with the Avs was the 1 year, $2.5 million deal. So if he's not re-signing on July 1st, that opens up $2.5 million in cap that the Avs can try to work with. And they're obviously trying to get their cap maxed out to as high as they can get it. And we also know that they're one of the teams with the least amount of cap in this offseason. They've got a lot of cap taken up right now, having obviously just re-signed Brock Nelson to a massive deal, who we received in a big trade from the New York Islanders at the trade deadline. But kind of considering that we're most likely going to see that $2.5 million cap open up, here's a few potential people that we may see the Avs target. And obviously these names just come from a big list of UFAs whose cap hit are in that kind of realm of the 1-2-ish million that we're getting if Jonathan Drouin doesn't re-sign. But two names that kind of stuck out to me on this list that could potentially be targeted. Number one, Connor Brown, a right wing for the Edmonton Oilers. He's 31. His cap hit in the previous season was $1 million. He is a grinder. He works his butt off. He's a really strong player. And something unique that I like about Connor Brown is his Stanley Cup experience. He's seen 2 Stanley Cup championships in the last 2 years. Obviously hasn't been able to win either one of them, but getting to play on such a strong roster with players like Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, and get to go to a Stanley Cup back-to-back years, one of them going to a Game 7, one of them going to a Game 6, so hard-fought Stanley Cup finals, that is. He's a hard-working, pace-setting player. He's an offensive machine, and if the Avs are able to get him for a similar price to that $1 million cap hit, he could be a really big offensive asset and kind of be in potentially a top 6, maybe a bottom 6 role, depending on other UFA-related trades and things that happen in the offseason. But if the Avs are able to target a player like this and find him in that low cap range, could be interesting for what they are trying to do. Last one is Anthony Beauvillier, a forward from the Washington Capitals. He's been all over the league playing for a handful of teams during his career. His 2024-25 cap hit was in the $1.25 million range. So once again, a player that the Avs can potentially afford. And he's kind of dropping in the tier list. He's kind of not as sought after of a UFA this summer. But he, if put on the right line and utilized properly, he could be a really strong asset for the Avs and potentially add a lot of depth to the roster. He has really strong numbers. If he's obviously, like I said, utilized properly, he could end up being, a 20, 30 goal scorer during the season and really add a lot of offensive strength to the Colorado Avalanche and just really potentially help them get back to a Stanley Cup contending team where they can try to get themselves past the first, second round into a Western Conference final, and then in a position where they can thrive under pressure and ultimately get themselves to another Stanley Cup championship. So obviously just a handful of some of the wide variety of names that are going to be on the market come July 1st. But considering the fact that Jonathan Drouin is highly unlikely to re-sign with Colorado, it's definitely worth considering some of these other names who kind of revolve around that similar $1-2 million cap hit, as far as some players that Chris MacFarland and Joe Sakic could potentially target and sign to continue to complete this roster and try to get the Avs back into a prime position to make a really big case for themselves in the playoffs this coming next season.